Hello, footy fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Wild Doggies Fan Podcast. If you're new here, please like the video, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for all future videos. Also, please follow the Instagram at the Wild Doggies Fans to stay up to date with all my posts, as I'm much more active on there. Alrighty, guys. So before we dive into the main contents of this video, for this proper episode 3, I want to first discuss the delay issues and the gap between these last couple episodes. So I filmed episode 1 the night of State of Origin Game 3, and I planned the following week to record episodes 2 and 3. However, there were some technical difficulties and all the footage I had was corrupted, audio wasn't working, it was just really bizarre. Anyway, I've re-recorded my episode 2, my Origin video, and that's up on YouTube by now. Please check out that video. However, my original episode 3 was going to cover, my review of round 20. I went into in-depth details of the Bulldogs and Cowboys game. I was going to talk about the standout moments, the Hayward try, if it was a try or not, Matt Burton's goal kicking. I had a whole system set up for my wrap-up of round 20. I was going to do my round 21 tips, anytime try scorers, Supercoach stuff, talking about the reffing issues, and Jared Sutton being a wanker. But unfortunately, that just never got to happen. I'm very disappointed in that. However, if you do want to get some of my rough thoughts about the Bulldogs related stuff, just check out my Instagram. That is where I was quite active. I think that night I went on a bit of a rant about how disappointing that result was. Obviously, Dogs didn't get the win that day. However, quite some time has passed since then. We've had round 21. We're about to enter round 22 soon, so that's actually about to kick off in about a couple of hours. So, unfortunately, that whole episode never got to happen. So I said this will be the new episode 3, and I'll just be picking up from round 21. Hopefully, I'll keep on going for the rest of the season, and we won't run into any more technical difficulties, because I'm not a big fan. I want to be able to keep a consistent posting schedule, help with the algorithm, and also just so you guys get content weekly. So now that's out of the way and that's all been covered, we're going to move on instead now to, would have been episode 4, but now episode 3, and we're going to begin with a round 21 review. Alright, so the first game was on Friday, 6 o'clock, the Warriors and the Tigers. Warriors win 28-16. Look, this was kind of expected. The Tigers have been very poor this entire season. The Warriors, they needed a huge revival after the very disappointing loss they had the previous week to the Raiders. They needed a win, and they needed a win big time, especially after, I think his name is Chanel Harris-Tavita, missed all those kicks and he got absolutely berated online. Him getting those goal kicks on Friday, well, that was, that's nice. I'm happy he got such a positive reception after that. There's not much to say about that game. Moving on to the Friday night game, Parramatta and Melbourne at Combank Stadium. Melbourne win 32-14. This game started out a bit unexpectedly. Parramatta take the early lead. They're playing a lot better than Melbourne. Melbourne were not starting well. They've not been starting well for a lot of this season. So I was a bit nervous. I was thinking oh no, is Parramatta going to pull off an upset here? But as the game progressed, Melbourne just slowly exposed them. They ended up winning 13+. And it's kind of what I expected. It's kind of the final score line is what I kind of expected. And Melbourne put on a masterclass. There's a reason why they're first and they've got such a huge lead over the rest of the comp. Again, I think they will probably get the minor premiership. Now, will they win the comp? Of course not. That's what the Dogs are going to be doing. So, yeah. And Parramatta put a line to this. A line been put through this season a long time ago. And I think they should just look forward to next year and what Jason Ryall's going to do for them. And, Parramatta now on the rebuild. So, suck shit to them. But let's move on to the game of the round. The Bulldogs with the upset beating the Broncos 41-16 up at Suncorp. Wow. This is the first Bulldogs win I get to cover on the podcast. I'm going to be very quick about this because I want to go into much more detail later on. But this was a phenomenal game. Absolutely brilliant. The Bulldogs' attack in this game is what we've been needing to see for a long time. The last couple of wins have been by either 1 point or 4 points, or we lose. That's kind of how it's been. So seeing us attack like we did, the way we were playing, if we play like that for the rest of the season, we're gonna win this comp. I think regardless, we'll still win the comp, but the extra attacking flair makes us more entertaining to watch. And I'll quickly cover the Broncos as well. I'll obviously get into this game a lot more later on. I don't know how they lost this game. Look, I've obviously tipped the Dogs, but I did not think Broncos would lose like the way they did. They just had no response for the Bulldogs. Their season pretty much on the line. Because, now they have to win every game for the rest of the season. They lose even one game this season, they're done. They're not going to make the 8. And they have no excuses. They were at full strength. Everyone was there. They're at Suncorp at a sold-out crowd of like 42,000. They should not have lost this game, and they did. So that's a travesty for them. But Dogs got the win. We got the crucial 2 points, and we move on to Belmore next week. Anyway, we'll cover the rest of the games, and we'll go back to the Bulldogs and Broncos game. Next game at 5:30 at Townsville, Cowboys and Sharks. Cowboys win 30-22. I tipped the Cowboys to win here. I think this is their first win up at their new stadium at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. It's their first win up there against the Sharks. So the Sharks have had a bit of a good record against them, and Cowboys obviously broke it. They played well. There was nothing exciting about this game, but there was nothing disappointing about this game. I believe Carl Felt got a hat-trick in this game, which seeing a veteran player like him get a hat-trick will always be great. And this further echoes why I think Sharks should not be in the top 4. They should barely be making the 8. They've won 1 or 2 in the last 7 games. It's the results have been shocking for them lately, but they've had a lot of issues this whole season pretty much. They had that very strong start. They're 1 from 9. They look like they were going to get the minor premiership or be a big top 4 contender. Then they've kind of just faded off as the year has progressed. But that's kind of where both these clubs are. It wasn't a great game, but it wasn't a mediocre game either. Now, another great game from this round. Roosters and Manly. Roosters win 34-30. This scoreline is very... It hypes up Manly and undervalues Roosters, which isn't how the game played out. Manly scored 3 of their tries off of intercepts thrown by 2 by Kiri and 1 by Teddy. And it kind of inflated the scoreline, but really Roosters were dominant. That first 22 minutes, put a line through Manly. That game was done for him by that point. They then had Garrick and Jason Saar go off with a HIA, which obviously you don't want to see, but it's how the game is. They were a bit hard done by it, but that's what you're gonna get when you go up against the Roosters. You're gonna get some calls are gonna go against you, and it was just a dominant Roosters performance. It's what we've been seeing for the majority of this season from the Roosters. But both teams, it was still a pretty good game. Everyone put their efforts on the table. They laid out everything they could to try and win it. Manly couldn't get the job done. Roosters did. Now Manly get the 2 points next week, and that'll be it for them. They got the rest of the season to try and maintain their spot in the 8. Another great game. Well, for me it was. Panthers absolutely thrashing the Dragons 46-10, in Wollongong. And it was a Nathan Cleary masterclass. He got a hat-trick, try assists, huge meters, got pretty much nearly all of his conversions. He was phenomenal this game. Ever since he's come back from injury, he had that icing field goal to win them the game against Dolphins, and then he's had this performance. He's pretty much made a statement against the comp that, hey, you guys all forgot about me during those 10 weeks I was gone. Everyone forgot about him. Everyone was praising Mitch Moses. He's like, nah, screw this. I'm the best halfback in the comp. I'm here to make that claim. I'm claiming for a 4th premiership. You will not forget who I am. He's proven why he's him, why he's the Iceman. And Dragons had nothing up to go against him, or even all the Panthers. They had nothing. Obviously, Panthers had a couple injuries. They had James Fisher-Harris with a groin injury, wishing him a speedy recovery. And Dane Laurie got a head knock, so he'll miss, I believe, this upcoming game and maybe the one after. I think. I could be wrong. But it was a Penrith masterclass. This is why I think it will probably be either them or Roosters versus the Dogs in the grand final. Because Panthers are just an absolute dominant force. I can't see any team really beating them. They're just, now they're back at full strength, barring from Dylan Edwards, and they look unstoppable. Nathan Cleary by himself scored more points than the Dragons did. Like, it was an absolute masterclass from Nathan Cleary. He scored 178 Supercoach points, which, for me, who bought him this week and brought him into the squad, that was a huge, huge bonus. I wish I captained him, but lessons were learnt. Moving on to what was a bit of a shock upset this round, Dolphins and Titans. Dolphins losing, 21-14. Titans, they were down 14-0 at one point. Then Des Hasler gave them this epic halftime spray. They came back out and they just were relentless. And it just shows that it may be a little too late for them this season and try and make a run, but you watch out for them next year. They are going to be a top 8 side next year. I'm calling it from now. They will be a top 8 side. They're competing hard. Like, they're playing well. Khan Pereira's a try-scoring freak. Fafita's like one of the best second rowers in the comp. He's in terrific form. Jaden Campbell's going great. Keanu Kinney, AJ Brimson. Like, they're becoming a genuinely deadly squad, and they're beating top teams. So I tip Dolphins, but again, times that they tend to do this. They tend to shock people with how they're playing. They're playing very well. For a team coming, I believe, 15th, they're not playing like a team coming in 15th. Dolphins, it's been a bad habit for them lately. They start really well and they just fade off as the game progresses. They get gassed out. They get tired. They become ill-disciplined and they're just unable to ice the games when it really matters the most. Again, I think they've won like like the Sharks, 2 of their last 6 or 7 games. Actually, 2 of the last 8 games. So, bit of a letdown from the Dolphins, who started the season really well, but it is what it is. This is how footy works. You can never really truly predict what's going to happen. And yeah, Titans got the win. Now, the last game of the round was an absolute snooze fest. This is one of the most boring games I've ever watched. I've never been so bored watching a game. Raiders and Souths. Raiders won 32-12. I don't know why, but this game was just so boring. There was nothing exciting was happening. It was just 2 teams that have not been playing well this year, playing against each other, and it was just a very boring game. It doesn't help that it was at 6:15 in the evening on a Sunday. You've had already 7 games of footy. You're going to be a little bit fatigued. And for the game to be so boring, can you blame me for not enjoying it? Again, Raiders, look, they're a very inconsistent team in this comp. They're coming, 9th? But they got negative 74 points or something. They're not doing well. But they just always hang on. And they have these tough, gritty wins or their occasional big wins. But South Sydney, man, they were just absolutely poor this game. I don't know what the Bunnies were doing. They missed, I think, Damien Cook missed all of his goal kicks. They weren't playing well. It was a bit odd. Maybe the cold was getting to him. Jack Wyden, he's going against his old club for the first time. He did not perform. But again, it's 2 teams that have not been playing well this whole season. So you can't expect much from this game. But it was still a bit of a snooze fest. Anyway, I believe that is a wrap to round 21. Now, what I want to do is pretty much whenever the Bulldogs play, which will be for the rest of the season, I want to go into a bit of a deeper dive into that game, because obviously I'm the Wild Doggies fan. I'm absolutely passionate about the Bulldogs. I fucking love these guys. So I want to do a bit of a deep dive into the Bulldogs and Broncos game, my standout moments from the match, my player of the match, and then we'll do just a general award stuff for round 21, and then we'll move into team lists for round 22, my tips, into try scorers. We'll do super coach, discussions of my trades. Then we might do a bit of a Bulldogs discussion, and that will be a wrap to this episode. So let's quickly dive into the Bulldogs and Broncos game. Now, this was one of our best attacking games we've had in years. The way we were attacking in this game was outstanding. Our defense has been on point this entire year. Again, we are still the second best defensive side on the comp. So our defense has been outstanding. But our attack has been what has been letting us down. We're winning games by 1 point, or we're just clutching it. Where, our attack hasn't been what's winning us games. It's been our defense. That wasn't until this game. This game showed us that when we can attack and we get our attack sorted out, we're attacking really, really well. Like, I'll talk about some of the key, like the really key moments in that match. First we had that set where Jerry scored the first try. That was pretty much, we just kept shifting the ball from left to right. Serrato and the rest of the coaching staff, they pinpointed a weakness in the Broncos' outfit, what their lineup looks like and what their weaknesses are. And the whole game, we kept shifting the ball left to right, going from edge to edge, and it just kept working. We'd find line breaks, we'd break through tackles, and it's where we scored majority of our points. Bronson Jerry scored that first try on the I believe it's the left edge, and then Tracy scored on the other edge, and then you had that try of the year, in my opinion, where Wilson bats the ball back, kick out, picks it up, he does a full 360 and flicks it, Marnie catches it, kicks it, Jacob Kuraz, the Lebanese international, does that one-handed catch, looked like he was an NFL type shit, and then passes the ball to Skelton, he scores. Like, that was just that was a pure poetry. That was pure footy in motion. That was just, it was a brilliant try. I think it was one of the greatest tries I've ever seen. I was going absolutely nuts. This whole game, I was just going nuts just how impressive this attack was. I was so happy and so excited to watch us play so well and to put on such a huge statement. Again, everyone was writing us off. Everyone thought, nah, Broncos at full strength. These guys, they're going to beat us. We're going to lose. Bulldogs are finished. They're pretenders. And then on Friday, 24 hours before kickoff, we find out Crichton's been ruled out. I'm Stephen Crichton's number one fan. I should say that. And when he got ruled out for this game, I was gutted. I'm thinking, oh shit, without Crichton, what the hell are we going to do? We saw what happened without him last time against the Roosters, how that went. And again, next man up mentality. Everyone was there to do a job, and they executed their job perfectly. I could not be more proud of the boys and how well they played. Like, we put the Broncos, who were grand finalists last year, to shame. If we can attack like that for every game for the rest of the season, I can't see anyone stopping us. But again, we're going to maintain this form. Now, I think I obviously discussed that key moment of the match, that epic try. But I also want to talk about, Jacob Preston's big hit on Reece Walsh where he dropped the ball. And, it was just the way we kept shifting the ball was so impressive. You had Tracy going in for a hat-trick, his first ever career hat-trick, by the way. Matt Burton getting nearly all of his conversions. And I think a really hilarious thing at the very end of the game, Burton just goes for a field goal, gets on the first attempt, and that put Broncos at exactly 0 points. They weren't the negatives, not the positives. They were at exactly 0, which obviously he wouldn't have known that. But I thought it was just hilarious, seeing him kick a field goal, because why not? Extra points. Because now we ourselves are on positive 88 points, which, that might be what's the difference between top 8 and top 4, or even top 8 and not top 8. Yeah, it was just, I'm just more I think about this game, the more I'm just so proud of how well the Dogs played. Like, we haven't attacked like that in so long. The last a good game of our attack was probably the Newcastle game and the Dragons game, but it's been a while since then. And we didn't have as many players on standby. Again, no Fox, no Crichton, no King, no Taff. Like, we had a lot of players injured, and yet we stood tall. We went up to Suncorp, and we beat the Broncos up at Suncorp, which we haven't done since 2015. Being the Broncos at Suncorp. History was made today. Or not today, but on that day. History was made. The Bulldogs made a huge statement for the comp, and they all got to watch out. Because we're pushing for a top 4 spot, and I genuinely think we can make top 4. It's just so impressive how well they played. So that's it for my standout moments of the match. There's obviously a lot of great moments. Kuraz's try was good as well. The way we kept shutting them down. And I'll give the Broncos some flowers, or I'll give Tony Stagg some flowers for standout moments of this match. I think Tony Stagg's try right on halftime was another really good try. He outran everyone. He outran players who you generally think would have probably caught him, but he just kept going. He kept running, and it's because of him we went to halftime only being up by 6 points, which going into second half made me a bit nervous. But then Kikau had that big try, just pushed everyone and just scored, and it was just downhill from there. It was like we were running downhill. We had Tracy going in for a hat trick. We had Kira's getting a try. We had, just Burden was a great kicking game. Toby Sexton, man, this was probably one of his best attacking games we've seen for him at the Dogs. He was outstanding. He had all those try assists. He had all those freakish kicks to the players. So that's probably it for this. This isn't like a proper deep dive on the match. See, normally I would be able to go into more detail, but since I've had to re-record this episode a few times, and it's been quite some time since I saw the game, memory's a bit blurry. But moving forward, hopefully when I get a more consistent uploading schedule for these podcasts, I'll be able to go into in-depth on the games a bit more. But those are my key moments, or the moments that really stood out to me in this match. Now for my player of the match, it goes without saying, Connor Tracy. 3 tries, 3 try assists. He was just everywhere. He was outstanding. He is one of the most underrated fullbacks in the comp, and he delivered such a great performance. He was just always there. He was there to receive Toby Sexton's kick. He was there when Wilson needed to give him the ball for him to score. He was there when for him to go over for his third try. He was right. He was just always there, running up next to players to back up his players. He was great. He was just great support, which kind of pushes further this whole argument that everyone was saying during the preseason. Oh, Bulldogs just signed a bunch of utilities. These boys, everyone they've signed are utilities. What's the point? They're not utilities. They're just players that the clubs couldn't appreciate, and the Bulldogs were able to bring the best out of them. Like, Tracy's had a bad run of injuries. He's been at a couple clubs. And then the Bulldogs picked him up. He didn't even get a proper preseason with us because he was injured. But he just injected himself into the side. Again, the only reason why he got moved to fullback was because Taff got knocked out in round 5 against the Roosters. That never happened. He wouldn't have had the opportunity to play fullback, and he is now an indefinite fullback. I can't see anyone else doing as good of a job at fullback as he is. So yeah, my player of the match, Connor Tracy. Now for my round 21 awards. My player of the round, Nathan Cleary. 3 tries, 2 try assists. I think 225 run meters. He was outstanding. As one of the best halfbacks. Actually, no, he is the best halfback in the comp. The best halfback in the modern era, I'd probably say. Well, one of the best, I should say, sorry. But he was outstanding. Team of the round, who was with the Bulldogs? They absolutely shook the comp. Their performance was just outstanding. It's not even because I'm a Doggies fan. It was just such a good performance. I cannot give them. I can't not give them team of the round. Now, game of the round. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Bulldogs. That was such a good game. Now, for worst team of the round, oof. You know what? The Dragons. They were absolutely abysmal. Like, they had nothing. They had a sold out Wollongong crowd, and they had nothing to show against the Panthers. They were good in like little patches, but that's not gonna win you games, let alone comps. You can't be good in patches. You need to be good the entire game from the first minute to the 80th minute. But they just couldn't do it. And Panthers just shown why they're the 3-time premiers, and they're trying to go for a 4-peat this year. Now for the worst game, Raiders and Souths. Sorry, that was such a bloody snooze fest. I was so bored watching that. Moving on now to team lists for this week. And we'll kind of combine them with my tips as well. We'll go through each game for round 22, and we'll go through the different we'll go through the new players out, players in, and we'll give them our tips. So for the first game on the Thursday, we've got Tigers and Cowboys at Leichhardt Oval. For the Tigers, no new changes, really. I think it's all kind of the same. Carousel's in the side, which is good. But that's really about it for Tigers. Now, Cowboys, they've obviously had Cotto got KO'd and Jason Tamalolo had his cheekbone fractured, so they're out for an extended period of time, wishing them both a speedy recovery. They've always had their replacements, and they're all good to go. So for this game, I'm going to tip the Cowboys to win 13+. They're in great form. Tigers, bottom of the ladder. And I know last year when these two met at Leichhardt, Tigers put 66 points on them. But I don't think that's going to happen again. That was just a freakish luck. And yeah, Cowboys will win 13+ here. And I'm going to put Valentine Holmes for my anytime try scorer. Now for the next game on the Friday, the Warriors and Parramatta at Go Media Stadium. For the Warriors, SJ is now back in the side after, I believe it was an Achilles injury. Chance Nickel Klukstad is back in the side, so RTS moves to the wing. For the Parramatta Eels, no changes to the 1 through 17. And obviously for this one, I'm going to go Warriors 1 to 12. I think in New Zealand, sold out crowd, they're going to want to win. Parramatta got nothing left to show for him this season. And for Anton try scorer, I'm going to go with RTS. I think him on the wing, they're going to try and feed him the ball as much as they can. I reckon he's going to go nuts. He'll score at least a try. Now, up at Perth, we got the Dolphins and the Roosters. For the Dolphins, no changes in their side. They're 1 to 17. The Roosters get Joey Manu back into their side, which is a huge plus. For this one, no surprise. I'm going to go Roosters, but I'm not going to go 13+. I think Dolphins will try and put up a bit of a fight. I'll go 1 to 12. And for an anytime try scorer, I'm going to go with James Tedesco. Moving on to Super Saturday, we got the Titans and the Broncos. For the Titans, no change to the 1 to 17 either. A bit boring, but I think AJ Brimson is somewhere in the side. And for the Broncos, Cobbo, obviously, he's had some domestic abuse allegations go against him. You know, if he is innocent, I hope he gets justice served. But if he is guilty, I hope he's get punished accordingly. And don't want to go into much detail about that. For this one, everyone's tipping the Broncos, but I think Titans, you know, with the way they're playing and their recent record against the Broncos, I'm going to tip Titans here 1 to 12. Call me crazy, but I got a feeling they're going to do it. And for an anytime try scorer, I think I'm going to go with David Fafita against his former club. So yeah, that's my bit of a rogue pick. But yeah, Titans winning. I'm going to see them win this game 1 to 12. Now at 5:30 at Melbourne in Amy Park, Melbourne, we got obviously Melbourne Storm against the Dragons. For the Melbourne Storm, no real changes here. You know, got the OG spine is still in the squad. The Dragons kind of the same thing. Tyrell Stone and Michaela Ravalawa get called back into the side. For this game, I think Melbourne coming first against Dragons who are in poor form. I think Melbourne win this game 13+, and they're going to win this game quite comfortably. I think they're going to absolutely thrash Dragons. Like, even on Sportsbet, it's like $1.11 for Melbourne and like $7 for the Dragons. But I'm still going to... So yeah, Melbourne 13+. And I'm going to go with Will Warbrick to score a try. Now, for the last game on Saturday, we have the Sharkies and the Rabbitohs at PointsBet Stadium. For the Sharks, no real changes here. Obviously, Ronaldo Mulatalo is out for an extended period of time, wishing him a speedy recovery. And he obviously has a replacement in one of the coolest last names ever in, you know, their new winger. Well, not new winger, but, you know, young winger for their side with one of the coolest last names I've ever heard in Samuel Stone Street. And for the Rabbitohs, Cam Murray comes back into the side. Otherwise than that, no real changes here. And I'm going to go Sharks here 13+. I think their attack will just overpower Rabbitohs. They got nothing to show. Rabbitohs are done this season. Moving on to the Sunday games, we have the Panthers against the Newcastle, Sunday 2 o'clock up at Bluebet Stadium in Penrith. For the Penrith Panthers, obviously James Fisher-Harris was taken out of the side with a groin injury, and Dane Laurie was hit with a concussion. Wishing them both, again, a very speedy recovery. However, in their stead, I believe Penrith have a debutant coming for them in Isaiah Youngie. I believe that's his last name. I do apologise if I got that wrong. He's making his debut at fullback, and taking his place, Lindsay Smith will replace James Fisher-Harris. For the Newcastle Knights, they've had actually a bit of a shock change here. They've got Phoenix Crosser moving into the halfbacks position. Jackson Hastings has been dropped. This is, I believe, the fourth different pairing change they've had for their halves pairing this year, which is, which really showcases how much turmoil the Knights are in at the moment. Again, I don't really rate them that well. I think that they had a bit of a fluke in that 10-game win streak. They've been out of form all year. They never look like a convincing top 8 side. So I think they're just kind of throwing everything against the wall and just hoping for the best. So for this game, no surprise, I'm going Penrith 13 plus. Hell, 30 plus even. For anytime try scorer, I'm going to go with Jerome Luai. I think he might do a bit of a goose step and he'll score. Now for the last game on Sunday, what I believe will be the game of the round, not only because it's the Bulldogs, but because I believe it's going to be a good game. We have at Belmore Sports Ground, we have the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs up against the Canberra Raiders. This at 4:05, Sunday 4th of August. I cannot wait for this game. I am so excited for this. I bought my tickets the second they were available, and it's sold out. It's a sold out Belmore Stadium, or Belmore Park, whatever. It's sold out. 20,000 Doggies fans are going to be there, all hyped, full of energy after last week's performance. For the Bulldogs, we have two major returns. We have Stephen Crichton and Josh Adokar both coming back into the side. For the Raiders, no changes, except Hopewade and Corey Hosborough are on the extended bench, or the reserves, I believe. Do I need to even say? Doggies win this game 13 plus. I believe with pretty much full squad back, except for like Max King and Jamin Salmon. At Belmore, we should win this game comfortably. I'm going Doggies 13 plus, and I'm going to go with the Fox on his return to score not only one try. I reckon he'll go on a hat trick. He's going to score a hat trick, and Doggies going to win this game 13 plus. I am so excited for this game. We only get to go to Belmore twice a year, and it is probably, I don't know, whenever I go to Belmore, I get such a feeling of nostalgia. I love going to Belmore so much, so when I get a chance to go, I love it. Like, on my way to uni, every day I go past Belmore, and I love looking at the stadium, and I get to sometimes see the players train. It's outstanding. Obviously it's not as high quality as some of the other stadiums, but it's our spiritual home ground, and there's just so many good memories there, and all the stories about the old days of Belmore. So I'm very excited. I can't wait to go back. Kickoff, or the game is in a couple of days. I can't wait. I'm counting down. I keep posting on my story the countdown up until Belmore. So if you want to see that, go to my page at the Wild Doggies Fan. So yeah, I believe that's enough rating about the Bulldogs. They'll win 13 plus, Adokar for a hat trick, and yeah, but that was a given. I wasn't going to pick the Raiders. So that's that covered. So now we're going to move into the Super Coach discussions for this week. Had a bit of a mixed performance last week. A clear step up from the week prior, which was a poor week. We had a lot of decent scores. We had obviously Nathan Cleary scoring 178 points. We had Teddy going 120. Teddy at 126 and Kira's at 120. Iro at 84 points. It was great. And we had some good trade-ins. I brought in Cleary and Tom Travojevic. Both scored well the week prior, and they both kind of scored well this week. This week. Anyway, I've already made my trade for this week. I'm only doing one trade. I'm getting rid of Connor Watson. I'm bringing in Reece Robson to free up a bit of cash. I might do Iro and trade him out for Val Holmes. I haven't decided yet. Probably won't do it. However, if Val Holmes goes like sub-nuclear on the Tigers, I'll probably trade him in or bring him in next week. So for my hookers, I'll have Reece Robson and Kay Donahue. For my front rowers, AFB and Josh Curran. On the bench, A. Mariota and Royce Hunt. For my second rows, we're going to have Elise Katoa, Tavita Pangai Jr. and Ruben Porter. Tupanua will go on the bench with O'Keefe and Katelga. For my halfbacks, Nathan Cleary and Jerome Hughes. My 5'8s are Matt Burton and Luke Curie. My main wing and centers will be Brian To'o, Dom Young, Jacob Kiraz and The Hammer. On my bench, Stephen Crichton, Carl Iro and Jay Tunga. For my fullbacks, James Tedesco and Tom Trbojevic, who was on the bye this week, so he will not be scoring any points. But that's really it. For Supercoach this week, again, as we go into the end of this round, or the end of this premiership, there's not much really to discuss. I scored 101-325 for points. I unfortunately lost my head-to-head, but that's because the guy I was going up against, Captain Cleary, which I didn't do. That was a bit of a stupid choice on my part. Obviously, I've now learnt my lesson, and for this week, I will be captaining Cleary, and I'll be VCing James Tedesco. So that's really it for Supercoach. Again, I'm still trying to figure out how I can do Supercoach discussions, because it's meant to be a two-way thing, but I'll figure it out. But this is my first year doing Supercoach. I'm enjoying it. I'm starting to get the hang of it. Still learning new things and how little tricks and ways to not lose your head-to-heads. I have a feeling I will win mine head-to-head this week. I think I've made the right choices, and I've looked at my guys' squad, my opposition squad, and my guys should win. We should score well. Who will score well? We'll find out though as the round begins in a couple of hours. And for Bulldogs news, the big discussion this week has been with Stefano Uitikamanu signing with either the Dogs or the Melbourne Storm. Now, Melbourne Storm, obviously a very highly respected club, have built a huge legacy and they're still performing well. But it's come out recently that the Dogs are the front runners to signing him. Now, if we do pull off this magic trick and we do sign him, I'll be very happy. I'll be very excited. I think having a big prop like him is like the final piece we're missing to truly complete the squad. Because the biggest complaint we've had this year has been our forward pack is very small, very inexperienced. Again, on our bench, we've got Hayward, Harry Hayes, and Lipoiopoi. I think in total they have about 20 games experience altogether, which obviously isn't very good. But again, we're a very young squad. But I think bringing in a well-experienced player like Stefano, who when he's on his on-day, he's an absolute machine, one of the most damaging front rowers. However, if we don't sign him, it will kind of make sense, because I think we're looking to try and re-sign Bronson Xerri. We're trying to lock down Jarrell Skelton. Obviously, and with our salary cap, we need to obviously not exceed it. We don't want to repeat of 2002, where we over-exceeded our cap, got caught, and we pretty much got robbed of a premiership. So, yeah, look, I won't be truly devastated if we don't sign him, but signing him it seems like it's pretty much a guarantee we're going to be signing him. All the sources online are saying where the front runners, when he will most likely sign with us. He wants to stay in Sydney. But if he goes to Melbourne, good luck to him. All the very best. In terms of injury news, no new injuries like Salmon and Max King. Their expected return dates will be either late this season or early into the finals. Hopefully we make it, which we probably should. And Kreiner seems to be all good from his injury. Thank God I think it was just a precautionary thing, just to rest him, which he deserves. And I think Serrado had full confidence in our squad that we could pull off a win against the Broncos, so we didn't need Kreiner to come with us. Let him rest. He's worked hard all year for State of Origin and for us. So I think giving him a rest, and now he's coming back to play at Belmore. And the Fox coming back. The Fox, I can't wait. A lot of people are saying the Fox is washed. Why we should move him on. He's such a good player. I'm sorry. I think he's one of my favorite players. I have a bobblehead of him that is currently that I got signed when I met him earlier this year, and he signed a bobblehead for me. And I always see that when I go in my room, and he's one of my favorite players. I think he's so cool. I think he's such a great try scorer. So yeah, I'm excited to see him on Sunday, because again, I will be going to this game on Sunday. Nothing could stop me from going to this game. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. A sold-out Belmore crowd. All the content creators are going to be there. I'm obviously going to be there. It's going to be great. I think I'm on the Hill. The Hill is the far superior place to be. It's where truly the most wild doggy fans are. It's where the most passionate, where I believe that's where the most passionate fans are. Because, you're going on the Hill, you're not sitting down, you're standing up the whole game, cheering on your team. And against a team like the Raiders, who are unfortunately a bogey team. Like, I think we've lost like the last 9 straight against them. But I think that changes tomorrow, or that changes when we verse them this week. I think that will change. You know, we've already broken 1 record against the Broncos. We'll break 1 against the Raiders. And yeah, so I could rate one for hours. How excited I am for Belmore. How the atmosphere is going to be great. The fans are going to be great. The game should be great. Both these sides are competing for a top 8 spot. Like, Raiders are 9th. Doggies are, I believe, 5th or 6th. We should win this game, and it should be a good contest. You know, it's Papali'i's 300th for the Raiders. You know, congratulations to him. You know, he's had a very successful career. And that's going to be an outstanding game. I think it's going to be some brilliant pieces of footy going to be played that day. I think both sides are going to score a lot of tries, or we'll score a lot of tries. We'll kind of shut down the Raiders. They're another young squad. But yeah, that's really it for Bulldogs. There's not really much huge of Doggies news. Otherwise, besides the Stefano stuff, you know, we're hopefully trying to re-sign a few players. No new injuries, thank God. Yeah, I believe that's it. I think I'll be heading out for my outro now. So yeah, I believe that's a wrap into this video. Alrighty guys, thank you for listening to another episode of the Wild Doggies Fan Podcast. If you're new here, please like the video, comment and subscribe, and stay tuned for all future videos. It's been a rough couple of weeks trying to get all these stuff sorted with all the recordings, and you know, things haven't been working, and it's been rough, but hopefully this episode should come out. It should be safe. It might come out. Unfortunately, I'm recording this on a Thursday. It might come out like a Saturday or a Sunday, which isn't good. I'm going to try and pick a date where I can record and hopefully all the system software goes well. And I can start posting things weekly because, you know, I want to be a little more consistent with this podcast. And, you know, it's only episode 3. We're learning. We're still building things up. I'm still a bit nervous, as you can tell, on the mic. But I'm getting better. A lot more confidence. And, yeah, you know, up the Doggies. I can't wait for Sunday. I will be on the hill. I'll be there pretty early watching the reserve grade and then the first grade. I'll be hanging around afterwards, you know, trying to do as much content as I can, try and maybe meet some of the players, talk to fans. You know, it's going to be one hell of a day on Sunday. I cannot wait. I've said that a fair few times now, but I'm just so fucking excited for Sunday. So yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you everybody for listening. Up the Doggies again. And I will see you all in the next episode of the Wild Doggies Fan Podcast.